another name, this mountain here.
Which mountain?
Yeah, this one.
Mount Kitchener.
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 And so lastly, just with the glaciers, you know, I know the views are pretty minimal on a day such as this, but I'm assuming you have seen some nice mountain views at some point while you've been in the Canadian Rockies. Glaciers, think of them as like the architects or the sculptors to almost everything you've seen, right? The last ice age was about 11,000 years ago. Prior to that, what we know as Canada now was more or less just a big ice cube. In some areas up to a kilometer deep of ice. And there was 4 advances during that ice age. The glaciers flow down from the mountains, carving out the valley bottoms. Then they retreat, then they flow down again, so on and so forth. Carving out more and more detail for us, making the valley bottoms nice and flat the way we have them here. You know, and that's one of the key differences between the Canadian Rockies and some of the other mountain ranges in the world. Take the American Rockies, for example. Very beautiful and majestic in their own right. Some similarities, but you know, they're kind of different. For starters, they're much, much, much taller than the Canadian Rockies, but aesthetically they look a little different. One of the key reasons is during that last ice age, you know, these mountains were getting a lot of attention from glaciers. Again, just getting more detail carved into them by, you know, the sculptor of this landscape, being glaciers. Not to say that the American Rockies didn't have any glaciation happening down there, but it just wasn't to the same effect, right? So, and moving forward, you know, especially in front of us, right there, you know, almost looks like a construction site, like big piles of, you know, debris everywhere. That's all from the glaciers. When you see those U-shaped kind of, almost like ramps going up towards the mountains, it's very easy to visualize where the glaciers used to be. Those are called lateral moraines. That would have been exactly where the glacier would have been widthwise, and during the last advance, the glacier basically filled up this whole valley. The first Europeans to come through this area in the late 1800s, they actually had to go behind the mountain on our left because the glacier was just filled up this whole area and they weren't prepared for the glacial travel. The glacier you guys are going to be doing your glacier adventure on is called Athabasca Glacier. That's an easy one to remember because we saw Athabasca Falls and Athabasca River. We have any views. It's the wall of white to the right there. It's basically right to the right. So about 100, I don't know, let's call it 150 years ago, that ice would have been straight across the valley. Now you can see it's retreated quite a bit. But that's where you guys are going. The building on our left, that's the Icefield Center. So that's your indoor washrooms, coffee, gift shop. You'll have a chance to have your lunch and all that. I would highly suggest bringing whatever you have that will keep you warm. You know, it's always better to bring it, not use it, than to wish you had it and have it sitting on the bus, right? And here we are, guys.
And even in the summer, this ice keep here.
Yeah, that's right. And so glaciers, they grow in the winter and then they melt in the summer. The thing is, these days they're melting so fast, right? But how a glacier is formed, it's basically just accumulation of snow over time. So snow that doesn't melt in the winter, many, many, many years, that snow gets packed down, compressed, and crystallizes into ice.